If you love shirtless book covers, giant age gaps, and explicit one-night stands before the couple gets together, then you might hate this video. I know at least one of these opinions is going to get me canceled by Book Talk, but I stand by every single one of them. Wouldn't that be crazy? 8 videos in and I'm already canceled. Canceled before I ever even really got the chance to begin. But I have some opinions that deserve to be heard. I will not be silenced. Hello, bookworms. Welcome back to the Book Hangover Club, where the only cure is another great book. In today's video, we are going to be getting into some unpopular romance opinions of mine. Some people are going to get offended. All I ask is that if you hear an opinion that you do not agree with or you do not like, at least give me a chance to explain. I feel like we can agree to disagree, but hear me out. By the end of my explanation, you might kind of sit back and be like, okay, I could see where she's coming from. I don't completely agree, but she does have a point. With that being said, sit back, relax, grab a snack, and let's get into some opinions. My first unpopular opinion is I hate book covers that are overly sexual, overly erotic. Like, you look at the book and it screams, this is an erotica. I don't care how beautiful the cover may look, but that is something that kind of makes me shy away from reading a book. And it's not because I don't like spice, because I do like spice in my books. Of course, spice for me is not the most important thing, but I don't know, I just think it's too much. Like, I don't mind a normal book cover. This book is about hockey, then put somebody on the front with a stick and a puck. If this book is about football, put somebody on the cover and a jersey and a football in their hand. Like, that is okay. Why do we have to have 2 people damn near getting ready to have sex on the cover of the book? Is that really necessary? I know authors sometimes they'll have a super sexual cover, and then they'll have a more incognito, a little bit less risque book cover that you can probably, take to church with you and read it in the middle of service without everybody looking at you and the pastor just calling you out in front of the entire congregation. And I don't think every author does that. Personally, for me, I read all of my books digitally, but if I ever wanted to purchase a physical copy of a book and that was the cover, then I'm not going to purchase the physical copy because I don't live alone. I live with other people. So where could I hide this book where no one will ever find it? And now I feel like I'm being interrogated or questioned. The people around me are wanting to know what this book is about. I mean, would they even have to ask me what it's about? You could just look at the cover and tell what it's about. I just think it's too much. I don't like it. And I'm not saying that I've never read a book where the cover was like that. For example, Shiver by Kriya Wrighton is a book that I've read that I love. It's a 5-star read, but it's something that does cause me to shy away from some books, at least initially. If I keep seeing the book, we just kind of read what it's about, and if I think it sounds good, then I'll give the book a chance. It does take me having to see this book at least 3 or 4 times before I'm finally like, okay, let me just see what this is about. When the cover is like that, it does not make a very good first impression on me. Sometimes when the cover of a book is boring, the spiciness is 10 times better than a book where the cover is very erotic. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because you see this erotic cover and so your expectations are immediately through the roof on what the spice is supposed to be like, and it just falls flat. Or even if it doesn't fall flat, it's good, but it's not as good as you thought it would be. Whereas when you read a book and the cover of the book is really boring, the smut and the spice is like out of this world. 10 out of 10, chef's kiss. So that's my opinion and I'm sticking to it. If you survived opinion number 1, then welcome to opinion number 2, because I feel like this one is probably worse than number 1. My second unpopular opinion is that I hate when authors put the character's face on the cover of the book. And I'm pausing dramatically because I know everybody just clutched their pearls and they're looking at me like, excuse me? What did you just say? Yes, I said it. I hate when the cover has a face on it, a person's face. I hate it. I hate it so much. I fear I probably hate it more than if the cover is erotic. But I had to draw you in because I feel like opinion 1, although it was bad, it was still a little bit tame. Opinion number 2 is where people might click off because I just called you out, or maybe you're thinking, okay, let me see what it is she has to say. Why does she feel this way? I'm curious. Why do I feel this way? Honestly, I just don't want to be told what the characters look like before I've even met them. I just want to be able, me as a reader, I just want to be able to build that fantasy in my head. And if you're telling me and maybe you're not even telling me this is what one of the characters look like. You just put this guy on the cover of the book. But me as someone looking for a book to read and I see that, I'm automatically associating the face of the person on this book with one of the actual characters in the book. And then it gets into attraction, and attraction is like a spectrum. Who I find attractive, you might not find attractive. I don't know, what if I don't find the cover of the book to be attractive? And that's horrible, and it's horribly shallow, but at least I'm brave enough to admit it, because I feel like some people, a lot more people than you think, will pick up a book because the person on the front of the book is attractive. If you didn't find the person attractive, you probably wouldn't pick up the book unless people were hyping the book up and saying how good it was. Probably wouldn't have given that book a chance because you didn't find the person on the front of the book attractive. Just go ahead and admit it. You know I'm not wrong. So second to the wanting to kind of just build up this character myself in my own head with my own imagination, I just need the author to just describe the character and I will create the physicality of this person in my head. If you're gonna do a cover, if you're gonna have a person on it, at least cut it off at the neck. We could just see everything from the neck down. We ain't going too far down. Don't show me face. Just show me body. That's a good compromise, in my opinion. That's not necessarily boring, but it's tasteful. This unpopular opinion is a little bit more niche. It's very dependent on whether or not you like age gap relationships. Now, I don't hate age gap romance tropes per se. There's just a specific age gap trope that I hate, and that is I fell in love with my best friend's dad, or I fell in love with my dad's best friend, or even a professor-student romance. The first two are worse than the whole professor-student thing. A professor-student relationship is not my go-to, but would I read one? Possibly. At least when it comes to that, I'll never say never. If the book is really good, or if it's written by an author that I love their work, then I'll give it a chance. But as far as the best friend's dad / dad's best friend dynamic, absolutely not. I will not read a book with that specific dynamic, simply because I think it's weird. That is weird. This person watched you grow up, and that just opens a whole other can of worms. At what point did this person start feeling that way towards the younger MC? It's just weird. And I know books are it's fiction, so it's not real. That gives you room to kind of make anything happen. The possibilities are endless. Real or not, there's just no world where you can convince me that you fell in love with your best friend's dad, and by the end of the book, everybody's just on board and going for it. And I'm not saying that's always the case, because I feel some books probably do it where it's a little bit more realistic. You and that person are not best friends anymore. Your family is looking at you crazy. Your family is looking at the old ass man that you're with crazy. The only way that dynamic ends in a happily ever after is me beating up my best friend who had the audacity to fall in love with my dad, or me as a dad beating up my best friend who had the audacity to fall in love with my child, and now I'm being hauled off by the police for assault while they're arresting my best friend for just being a weirdo. And then they're arresting my child. Actually, the child's not getting arrested. And I don't want to say child because I guess, they're of age. So this young adult isn't being arrested, but they're putting him in a padded room with a straitjacket on because, are you okay? I absolutely refuse to read a book with that dynamic. I just cannot do it. One of my favorite authors, Tal Bauer, has a book with this similar dynamic. And, that was probably the book that made me realize that is a dynamic that I can't stomach. Now, I wasn't fell in love with my best friend's dad. It was more so I fell in love with my best friend's boyfriend's dad. And I love Tal Bauer, but I did not finish that book. I couldn't stomach it. It just did not feel, number one, it just didn't feel believable. And number two, it just felt wrong. I'm cringing just thinking about it. But I definitely would be curious to know, people who do love that specific dynamic. I would be curious to know what it is about that dynamic that you like or love or that appeals to you. And this isn't to like shame anybody because, everybody has things that they like or dislike. So I'm not trying to shame anybody. So if you drop down in the comments and you say, I actually love that dynamic, then good for you, I guess. My next unpopular opinion is that some dark romance novels are very performative. It's performative darkness. Just because the main character is an asshole does not make the book a dark romance. Now, don't get me wrong, I am a huge fan of psychological complexity, morally great characters, obsession, possessiveness, crime, danger, emotional intensity, etc., etc. A lot of these dark romance novels that are marketed as dark romance don't actually feel dark. They just feel like they're trying really hard to convince me that they're dark. And oftentimes the main character who is supposed to be that dark character, the one who is supposed to bring that dark element to the book, they're usually just rude or toxic. It just comes off very performative, like they're just an asshole. This is not a dark romance. This person is just an asshole and has a lot of growth amongst other things to do. Now, I've read a lot of books where this is done well, and maybe I'll do a video on books that are not marketed as dark romance, but give me all the elements of what a dark romance is supposed to be. I think that would be kind of interesting, but dark romance is just hard for some authors to do in a way that doesn't feel, the MC is just trying way too hard and overall it just falls flat. My final unpopular opinion, and this one's going to take a little bit more explaining. Once I know who the two main characters are, I don't want to read about either of them sleeping with someone else. I'm already loyal to both of these characters. MC1 cannot go and step out. MC2 cannot go and step out. It's supposed to be the two of you, even if you don't know it. And I need you guys to act accordingly. And I'm using this word very loosely, but it feels like cheating in a sense. And I say I'm using it loosely because obviously they're not together. But as the reader, it almost feels like emotional cheating in a sense. Because I've already decided that these two people belong together. Mind you, I've decided this because the author told me that it's going to be the two of these people by the end of the book. So don't play with me emotionally and have a detailed scene of one main character and their one night stand. How dare you? Why would you do that to me? That is sick behavior. If you say they had a one night stand and that's it, okay, that's fine. But as soon as you go into giving me details, like, come on. And the spice with this stranger does absolutely nothing for me. It's almost just like, I'm waiting for y'all to finish so we can move on. So I could pretend that this never happened. Okay, bookworms, that is it for my unpopular opinions. If I'm being honest, that was kind of painless. I feel like I kind of went into it a little bit nervous. As always, drop down in the comments and let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with my opinion? Do you disagree with my opinion? For my disagreeers, I want to hear from you. Tell me why you disagree with what it is that I said. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited to see what it is you guys have to say. And if you'd like to join the Book Hangover Club, please feel free to click that subscribe button and stay tuned for my next video. I will catch you guys in the next one.